All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. My name is Polzin with 9to5 Sports. Going to be breaking down the Week 16 core plays, going position by position, and then showing you guys a first look build. If you guys enjoy the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. All right, let's get into it. Starting out with quarterback Josh Allen. It's going to be tough not to love Josh Allen, especially after what he just did against Miami in a game that was supposed to be a poor weather game. Okay, he still had the weird turnover issues that are going on, 2 fumbles, but was able to score 4 touchdowns, which is obviously great. But the thing that we like is it's going to be a matchup with the Chicago Bears, a matchup that we were wanting to chase last week with Jalen Hurts. Well, it's going to be the same logic with Josh Allen. Get to great spots going against that Chicago Bears, a team that you've been wanting to target really since the trade deadline. Josh Allen could easily go for 30 DK points, and I'm kind of expecting him to go for 30 DK points, maybe a rushing touchdown, but should have at least 2 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen just makes a ton of sense on this slate. And sure, if we're not playing Josh Allen, the quarterback that we're paying up for is going to be Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has thrown the ball over 40 times, 3 out of the last 4 games, which is obviously something that we like. Really did well against Houston, which had been a defense that had not allowed quarterbacks to really go off against them, okay? Now he gets a good matchup going against Seattle, a matchup in which you would think is not going to be one that's going to hinder any sort of production for him, okay? So I would say we're locking in at least 20 DK points with the upside to go for 35 DK points if the game stays close. That is certainly a play that, we're kind of just guessing there which one would do better. In GPPs, probably just mixing and matching our ownership to them because they're both going to be very strong plays. And then the final QB core play for me this week is going to be GENO Smith. Last week, he ended up throwing the ball 44 times and was able to score 15 DK points against that really strong Niners defense. I would take that as a total win. Really, the biggest worry with GENO Smith is that he's going to be without Tyler Lockett. That is the biggest worry. So they might try to run the football a little bit more, but this is a game with KC that should be a higher scoring game, should be more of a shootout. And if we look at over the last few games, really the past month and a half, he's been averaging over 20 DK points. So I think we are going to get closer to that 20 DK point average that he was getting rather than that 15 performance that we had last week. Obviously, that was much more of a matchup-based thing. All right, so switching it up and getting into the running backs. The running backs are going to be very top-heavy on this slate. I mean, I think we literally just load up on the first 3 players at the running back position. Christian McCaffrey, matchup really doesn't matter. I think he proved that now. Did well against Seattle, did well against Tampa Bay, did well against Miami, a defense that you thought you'd do well against. The thing with CMC is that with Deebo Samuel out, his targets were pretty much locked into a high floor, which did create a nice high floor. 6 receptions in last week's game against Seattle, was able to get to 100 rushing yards, was able to get a rushing touchdown. It's going to be tough not to love Christian McCaffrey, especially given the fact that he is playing, almost 90% of the snaps. So yeah, he's going to be a play that we love. As long as the game stays close, Christian McCaffrey is going to be a stellar play. Then from there, Derrick Henry, it's tough not to love Derrick Henry again this week. Played him last week against the Chargers, really came through. That was awesome. Okay, 29 DK points out of him, was probably less chalky than I thought he would be against the Chargers. Well, this is basically a much better version of last week's game. Okay, last week you were a little bit worried that the Chargers might be able to throw the ball a little bit too much and be too effective doing that to the point where maybe Derrick Henry was slightly phased out of it. Well, we're not going to have to worry about that in this game going against Houston. It should be a game that's going to stay close, like no matter what. So Derrick Henry should be kind of locked into a very efficient running game. Okay, the biggest issue with Derrick Henry that I could potentially see is maybe he just doesn't score a touchdown. Touchdowns can be a little bit fluky, but I would assume that he's going to be able to really have a great game against Houston, which is obviously the matchup that you've been wanting to target this whole season. And then from there, guys, honestly, like Saquon Barkley, it's going to be tough not to love Saquon Barkley as well. As a guy that played 86% of the snaps last night, recording this on Monday, looked really good against Washington. And Washington's a great defense. He was able to get 8 targets, convert that into 8 points in the passing game, and then obviously was able to add a rushing touchdown and 87 rushing yards as well. 23 DK points in that game. And the biggest thing with that is he looked good. He looked healthy. Really, it was kind of strange. Against Washington, the previous game, and against Dallas, it looked like, and maybe they just shot him up and that's why, but it looked like he had kind of, I don't want to say lost a step, but you could tell the season toll was starting to add up on him. And then last night happened and I was like, oh, that's the Saquon we saw earlier on in the season. Maybe he just got the proper rest that he needed. But regardless, he looked really good last week, and now he gets a better matchup going against Minnesota. Obviously, that's something that you like. And then also talking about Rhamondre Stevenson, guys. Stevenson lit it up, okay? And that was while playing a limited amount of snaps. He only played 66% of the snaps. Given the fact that he should be another week healthy, it's going to be tough not to imagine him getting about 80% of the carries in the next week. Now, maybe Damian Harris is back, and maybe He's capped at 75% of the snaps. The thing with it is he looked really good. Yes, the Raiders were a defense that you want to be targeting. Yes, he was tough to play given the time of lineup lock for him, but he ended up working out. Now he gets a matchup with Cincinnati. Not really a matchup you're going out of your way to target, but not really a matchup that you're particularly worried about as well. I think Stevenson's going to make a ton of sense on this slate. But also we are looking at Kenneth Walker at a very cheap price point. Kenneth Walker went out and played 75% of the snaps. Once again, after coming back from an injury, which I think is impressive, I think that number is only going to go up, and he was able to get to around 12 DK points against that Niners defense, that stout Niners defense. To me, that's highly encouraging. To me, that's a good thing. Once again, he gets a better matchup going against the Kansas City Chiefs. Kind of expected to be a pass-heavy game. If he can get, around 6 points again in the passing game, that's going to be huge. But I also think he's going to get over 50 rushing yards with the potential to score a touchdown. So I think Kenneth Walker going to be a much better play this week than, he has been the last 2 weeks. So now, obviously, if I really like Geno Smith and really kind of that whole game, we are going to be wanting to target the pass catchers. Now, the biggest thing is that Tyler Lockett is out. Okay, he has a broken finger. I thought it was his thumb. Whatever. He's not going to play. So it's going to mean Marquise Goodwin is going to be a very strong price point play on this slate. Going to be someone that's probably going to get around 7 targets in this game. It's going to be someone that honestly is going to be tough to pass up on, just given the fact that he's going to slide into kind of that Tyler Lockett role. And he is someone that, it's not shocking that he's had, a few big games for the Seattle Seahawks. So it wouldn't be shocking to see him go out and have a good game against the Kansas City Chiefs, which is a favorable matchup. So he is someone I'm certainly going out of my way to play this week. And then like DK Metcalf, it's going to be tough not to love him as well because while he's going to be on the field probably 90% of the snaps, going to get around probably 10 targets. He's going to be heavily involved in this game plan, most likely. On paper, it's the perfect play. The price point isn't too heavy as well. So he is someone that I do see gain to 20 DK points as well. It's just with DK Metcalf, we have to decide, do we want to prioritize the running back position or do we want to prioritize the receiver position? I think we want to prioritize the running back position and find the decent receiver plays that we can be on. So maybe we're just going with Goodwin at a much cheaper price tag and hoping that he catches a long touchdown. And now looking at receiver, Stephon Diggs with the Buffalo Bills going against the Chicago Bears. That is very much a matchup-based play, especially if we love Josh Allen. If you're playing Josh Allen, you pretty much just need to play Diggs and run it back with him because, well, they're going to be in a great spot, okay? Sure, against the Jets, didn't really do much, okay? But he's kind of had a tough slate the last 3 weeks, guys. Miami, obviously the weather situation, windy, cold, tough to pass the ball out, still had 9 targets, still had a pretty decent game. I mean, still had 10.7 DK points. Against the Jets, a very difficult matchup, didn't do much. And then against the Patriots, I actually really went out and dominated. So now he finally gets a great matchup. I do expect him to kind of have a correction week, and he's probably going to go for around 20 DK points. So he is someone I'm certainly looking at playing. I'd much rather play DK Metcalf at his price point than play Diggs because I think they're going to finish with about the same points, but Diggs is certainly someone that's going to be in play. All right, and I'm curious, before I get into it, you can probably guess who it is, but going with Moore. Which Moore am I going with? Well, DJ Moore. Okay, DJ Moore, was a little bit questionable coming into last week's game. Was able to get 6 targets, was able to get 5 receptions, was able to get a touchdown, was able to score 18.3 DK points. Gets a great matchup against Detroit. What have we been doing this whole season, guys? We've been targeting Detroit, okay? Freak, Zach Wilson went off against them, okay? Garrett Wilson did what we thought he would do. At 5.5 for DJ Moore, that's going to be playing, probably around 90% of the snaps, probably guaranteed to get 5 targets, and probably guaranteed to get 10 DK points. It's tough not to let DJ Moore in that favorable matchup against Detroit. He's someone I'm going out of my way to play, especially as it sits right now. And then I will be treating these 2 value play receivers as core plays, just kind of given their price point and given their production. They're both players that had a good game on Monday Night Football, and they didn't really get price corrected, so that's why I like them. Isaiah Hodgins, who's been a guy I've been talking up really a while now, like the past month, just because he's been a strong price point play for a while now. He's just playing so many snaps that it's tough not to like him. Playing on average 90% of the snaps for them. And last week, 4 targets, 7.7 DK points. Now going against Minnesota, which is going to be a more favorable matchup. It wouldn't be surprising to see him go out and have a good game. Obviously not someone like you really love, but as it sits right now on a slate in which obviously I want to go running back heavy, I'm trying to find some good value price point plays at receiver. But the biggest one I think would be Jahan Dotson, okay? And wasn't it strange, guys? 24% owned on the showdown slate last night. I was just shocked by that. I thought he was like a lock and load play. I thought he'd be obvious, just, given the snap counts, given how he's looked this season. It was kind of strange. And so it was kind of rewarding when he went out and, I called him he's just a big playmaker. You got to play, studs. And he made that one-handed catch. That was pretty sweet. It's just, kind of pat in the back there, I guess. But, the talent is undeniable. And now given the price point, it's going to be super tough not to play him, especially given the fact that he did play in 79% of the snaps again last week. A majority of the snaps are second most on the team. It's just tough not to love that. And given the fact that he looked great, going to be tough to avoid that. 6 targets last week, 9 targets the week before that. I guess the biggest issue would be that, he is due to have a regression game, I guess. But the matchup with the Niners is going to be one in which Washington should be having to throw the ball, should be trying to manufacture touches to his way as well. So I think at 3.9, he is certainly someone I'm going to be looking at on this slate. All right, at the tight end position, I'm pretty much going to keep it simple. If we can afford to pay up for Travis Kelce, yes, do so. If not, we're going back to TJ Hawkinson. I just love the snap counts, guys. You guys know that by now. There's safety and snap counts. So playing 90% of the snaps, has had a nice safe floor, just given the fact that he's averaging over 6 targets per game with the Minnesota Vikings. On the field a ton, getting a ton of targets in a decent matchup. It's just tough not to love TJ Hawkinson, especially at that cheap price point. You are gaining some leverage on the field. Although I will say, if Hayden Hurst is out, Mitchell Wilcox would be someone I'm interested in. Just on the field so much right now. And at the price point where, at tight end, either I'm kind of paying up for Kelce or Hawkinson, like I've been saying to do, or you're trying to find a very cheap price point tight end that's not going to hurt you. That's going to get 5 or so DK points. I see that being Wilcox in this game if Hayden Hurst is out, but I do want to play TJ Hawkinson. Then we go with the lowest price defense. I forget what Houston did last week, but 5 DK points against KC, guys. Just once again, lather, rinse, repeat. It doesn't really matter who it is. Just go ahead and play them. Sure, maybe not the Bears against Buffalo, but at the same time, who knows? Maybe the weather will be poor. The Bears defense hasn't been terrible. Could easily go with the Eagles D against Dallas. I'm perfectly fine with that. So from this build, we have to figure out where we want to go, what adjustments we want to make. So one simple one would probably be go to GENO Smith in this specific build, since I already have, a lot of Seattle. Okay. And then we're probably just going down from CMC or Derrick Henry to Stevenson and feeling pretty good about that. Let's see here. Stevenson. Yeah, that'll work. Probably a little bit too much left over. Would have to figure that out. But let's go ahead. I do want to fit Josh Allen into a build. So we'd probably just be going down from DK Metcalf. Let's see. Which receiver could we go with instead? So Justin Jefferson is currently questionable too. If he's out, KJ Osborne would obviously be someone that you're looking at. We just need to get that news update. Honestly, KJ Osborne, if Justin Jefferson was injured, I think he'd be a core play. I think he'd be a standout play, but also Justin Jefferson becomes a very solid play as well. All right, so here we go. Was able to figure it out. So we get Josh Allen, probably locking in 20 DK points. And then Stevenson and Henry should both be very strong plays this week. DK Metcalf, Marquise Goodwin, both kind of upside plays, but both should have safety. Same thing with DJ Moore, Dotson, more of a price point play. Wilcox, we'll see. And then Eagles D for now. Pretty strong looking first look build. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Give a like and subscribe. That helps me be able to continue to put out more content for you guys. Also, my goal, as you guys saw, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers really as fast as possible. The goal was to get there by New Year's. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately, but, still a goal of mine. Still would be very awesome and kind of validates what I've been doing here as well. So, go on and help me out. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and as always, let's keep cashing.